The air on the Swahili coast goes heavy. A sudden, choking stench of sulfur rolls through the clove trees. From the dark jungle canopy, something massive drops in absolute silence. In 1965, on Pemba Island, a reported case of sleep paralysis manifested into something much more tangible. A local farmer awoke to a crushing weight on his chest, opening his eyes to find a 7-foot-tall shadow crouching on his bed. Villagers rushed to his screams with kerosene lamps. Blinded by the firelight, the entity expanded its wings, shattered the wooden roof frame to escape, and left deep claw marks gouged into the stone walls. The splintered wood and gouged stone proved the entity was a physical presence, capable of leaving a measurable wake of destruction behind it. The creature, soon named the Popobawa, possesses an anatomy optimized for aerial ambush. It stands on 2 legs, with a gaunt, human-like torso that supports massive, leathery wings spanning 15 feet across. Its lower limbs end in sharp avian talons. These claws generate enough crushing power to easily grip and break apart the jagged, unforgiving coral rock formations that line the island's coast. Its most distinct biological adaptation sits right in the center of its skull, a single, oversized, lidless yellow eye, highly adapted for extreme night vision in the dense jungle. Because these physical traits read like a catalog of monsters, the outside world easily dismissed the reports. For decades, officials wrote off the attacks as local panic born of island isolation. The history of the creature runs deep into the Islamic and Swahili folklore of the region. Island traditions have long spoken of vindictive djinn, spirits capable of taking physical form. According to local records, the Popobawa originated when a powerful sheikh sought vengeance. He deliberately summoned one of these shadow spirits, intending to use it as a weapon against his rivals. The operation failed. The sheikh lost control of his creation, and the biological manifestation broke free from his command to roam the islands. This origin story outlines a specific behavioral profile. The Popobawa is a sentient apex predator. It doesn't hunt for meat. It specifically targets human fear, feeding on the community panic it creates. By the 1970s, the creature expanded its hunting ground. It moved from rural villages into the tightly packed urban environment of Zanzibar's stone town. Here, it deployed a terrifying psychological tactic, biological mimicry. The Popobawa would appear exactly like a familiar neighbor, easily gaining access to private, walled courtyards. Once inside, the disguise dropped violently. Witnesses heard the sickening sound of bones cracking and reforming as the entity shed its human shape to reveal the winged, cyclopic giant underneath. During these reveals, the creature deployed its primary offensive weapon, a high-pitched subsonic screech. This frequency carried intense physical force. The sound waves were powerful enough to shatter courtyard windows and induce immediate, rigid paralysis in anyone standing nearby. Shattered glass and paralyzed witnesses provide a specific trail of data. These physical effects suggest a biological mechanism capable of generating a quantifiable acoustic force. Because of the distinct acoustic and structural evidence left behind in the 60s and 70s, modern science is now actively investigating the phenomenon. Today, bioacoustic monitoring teams are deployed deep into the canopy of the Ngezi forest, waiting and listening. These teams use advanced AI sound classification systems. The algorithms filter out the standard noise of insects and birds, specifically calibrated to isolate the distinct subsonic frequencies of the creature's screech. The response to the Popobawa had evolved. The hunt has moved from fearful villagers holding lanterns in the square to clinical measurement in the audio forensic laboratory. The Popobawa is now a biological anomaly, tracked and categorized by algorithms. The exact same entity that crushed roofs and paralyzed islanders decades ago is now just another data target, waiting to be captured on a microphone. Which leaves a final question. When the AI system triggers a positive match, what exactly will the researchers hear waiting for them in the dark? In 1995, a wave of panic swept across the islands of Zanzibar and Pemba. It was an event so widespread that it essentially paralyzed the local population. The fear was intense enough to drive entire villages and city districts from their homes. Families gathered in the streets to huddle around massive communal bonfires, refusing to sleep indoors until the sun rose. To the locals, the cause of this terror was clear. They attributed the attacks to the Popobawa, a malevolent, shape-shifting spirit from Swahili folklore. Folklore usually ends where the physical evidence begins, but these sightings presented a unique problem, a ghost story always actively leaving behind traces in the material world. In 1995, a police patrol provided a critical anchor for the claims, reporting a high-speed collision that could not be explained by the surrounding panic. Officers reported a 7-foot, bat-winged humanoid crashing directly onto the hood of their vehicle. They described the entity staring at them through the windshield with a single, glowing yellow eye positioned squarely in the center of its head. After the entity fled, investigators examined the car. They found deep talon gouges ripped through the reinforced steel, accompanied by a thick, concentrated layer of sulfuric chemical residue. Hallucinations do not dent steel or leave behind chemical signatures. These physical markers indicated that a massive biological entity was actively hunting in the midst of the hysteria. The creature eventually proved it was not confined to the islands. In 2007, an outbreak of sightings occurred over 50 miles away in Tanzania's mainland capital, Dar es Salaam. During this outbreak, a hospital security guard working the night shift was cornered in an alleyway. He found himself face to face with a dark gray bipedal creature boasting a massive 15-foot wingspan. This encounter provided a critical look at the creature's attack biology. Instead of physical strikes, it unleashed a concussive blast of echolocative sound. Our diagram compares a standard bat pulse to this high-decibel sonic shockwave, powerful enough to rupture the guard's eardrums. This standalone encounter forced mainland authorities to recognize the physical nature of the threat, shifting the investigation from folklore to a biological case study. To find it, researchers turned to the dense canopy of the Niezi Forest Reserve, relying on the boots-on-the-ground expertise of professional wildlife trackers. One tracker uncovered an unusual biological trail, a line of crushed macaque monkeys, all accompanied by a heavy, localized stench of rotten eggs. This trail led directly to a set of massive three-toed prints, resembling a gargoyle, embedded deep within the soft volcanic mud. Nearby, the tracker identified a massive roosting site high in a baobab tree. The thick wooden limbs were snapped off, indicating the creature perching there weighed at least several hundred pounds. The weight, the prints, and the predation style are all inconsistent with any known African fruit bat. All environmental data points to a highly specialized, unclassified predator. Definitive proof required modern technology. In April 2026, an autonomous drone surveillance team conducted a night sweep over the Pemba canopy using thermal imaging. The footage from the drone's 4K thermal sensors captured a clear target, a massive, high-contrast heat signature dropping silently out of the trees. The visual displays a 7-foot-tall hominid frame, utilizing a massive 15-foot membranous wingspan to glide effortlessly on the area's thermal currents. During the 2026 sweep, researchers recovered a sample of shed, leathery skin from a rooftop. This gave investigators the ability to run a full environmental DNA analysis, shifting the search from camera lenses to the laboratory. When the sequence was cross-referenced against global databases of primates and bats, it showed no matches. This genetic signature represents a distinct evolutionary branch, providing a scientific basis for the apex predator that locals have feared for generations. The 7-foot Popobawa has emerged from the fog of myth as a highly adapted biological reality. While the coastal cities of Tanzania continue to modernize, with concrete replacing traditional coral rag houses, the psychological endurance of the Popobawa remains unbroken. Modern science has not erased the folklore. Instead, data collected through bioacoustics and eDNA has validated the ancient fears of the local population. The physical signatures of this creature continue to stalk the canopy. Its distinct sulfur scent still rides the coastal winds, and reports of that single glowing eye piercing the darkness persist. It serves as a reminder that despite our technological dominion over the natural world, the Popobawa remains a primal mystery, mastering the African night.